Y'all see her, and y'all see me. When you see her, you see me. When you see me, you see her. Period. Don't play with my best friend. She got on her eyelashes. I got on my eyelashes. Don't play with us.
Shamar Elkins was 31 years old, a father of 7 children who all lived under the same roof as him in Shreveport, Louisiana. On one Sunday morning, before most people in that neighborhood had even had their coffee, he walked through that house and shot every single one of them dead. Then he got in a stolen car and drove off like he had somewhere to be. We are going to walk through everything that happened that morning, who this man was, what pushed him to that point, and what the secret was that broke whatever was left of his mind. Stay with me.
Tap in. Tap in.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't really understand, but I fell down this hill. Now I got glue on my hands and I got records on my fingers. Records on my fingers. I got records on my fingers and I just can't stop.
They wanna see me do my dance in these $1,000 pants. Don't disrespect me and my mans. Whole lot of choppers on your head. Scram, we just putting dollars on your head. Listen here, we gave his mama to the feds, little brother.
Yeah, nigga, wanna walk crazy? Yeah, ooh, yeah, wanna walk crazy, bitch? Yeah, wanna walk crazy, bitch? Yeah, wanna walk crazy? Ooh.
Now, before we get into the chaos of that morning, let us understand who we are dealing with, because Shamar Elkins did not just appear out of nowhere. He was a man who had been carrying something for a long time, and the people close to him could see it.
But you gonna let me do my motherfucking dance. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. But you gonna let me do my motherfucking dance. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money. Bouncing around this bitch with all this money. Bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money in my pants. I'm bouncing around this bitch with all this money.
On my toes, fresher than a Bentley Reggie. Got that ass, can't get no cash, but she can get his dick. Pockets thick, and we got all the hoes.
His family members said publicly that he had been dealing with mental health problems for some time, and that in the period leading up to the shooting, he had been talking about wanting to end his own life. That last part is important, because it tells you this was not a man who snapped out of nowhere. He was already in a dark place, and something pushed him over the edge. What that something was connected directly to the 2 women in his life, and that is where the story of what happened that morning really begins. Elkins had a wife. She lived at the house on West 79th Street, along with their 7 children and some other people in that home. But he was also connected to another woman, one who lived separately on Harrison Street with her own 3 children. Investigators classified the entire incident as the result of domestic violence, which means what happened that Sunday was not random. It grew directly out of what was happening in those relationships. Something had been building, and then something broke. The best picture the available information gives us is that Elkins discovered something, a secret about one of the women in his life, something that shattered his sense of control over the situation. Men who are already unstable and who feel like they are losing their grip on the people around them, that is exactly the kind of pressure that turns into violence. And with Elkins, it did not just turn into violence. It turned into something that Shreveport had never seen before.
Hi, you guys. Look at this girl over here. Anyway, so it's just boring. It's a boring day. It's just boring.
So guess what? We don't need to have 1,000 followers to go live. You could just share what you love, what you like to do. And that's how you will gain a lot of followers as well. So go ahead and click that link down below.
Now let us talk about that morning specifically, because the timeline is something else. At 5:55 a.m. on that Sunday, Shreveport police received the first call about a disturbance at a home on the 300 block of West 79th Street. And already, right from that first call, you can tell how bad things were, because the person calling was not inside the house. She was on top of the roof. She had climbed out of the building to get away from what was happening inside and was calling 911 from up there. She told dispatch that a man had been shot inside the home and that the person who did it was still in there. 3 minutes later, at 5:58, another call came in, confirming the suspect was a relative of the caller. Then, at 5:59, dispatch got the full picture. Approximately 9 people lived at that address, and Shamar Elkins had shot everyone inside the home.
You hear that whole time. Who that is back there? What you doing? In the bathroom. Baby, I should get a job.
By 6 a.m., the caller told dispatch that she and her children had managed to escape by coming down from the roof and were now in the backyard. Officers arrived 1 minute later at 6:01 and made contact with her at 6:03. But while all of that was happening at West 79th, something else was going on across the city. At 6:07, a completely separate call came in from the 500 block of Harrison Street. A woman called to say that her boyfriend had shot her, taken her 3 children, and fled. By 6:08, she identified that boyfriend as Shamar Elkins. 2 minutes after that, at 6:10, dispatch connected the 2 shootings and confirmed they were all related to the same man. So here is what the picture looked like now. Elkins had started that morning at Harrison Street, shot the woman there, taken her kids, and then driven himself over to West 79th Street where his wife and their 7 children lived, and done what he did there. Police say he offed the young one's execution style, which means he was not panicking when he did this. He knew exactly what he was doing and did it anyway.
Where? Walk through. Yeah.
7 of the 8 children killed in that house were his own kids. The 8th child was also killed, but was not his. The 2 women in the home were both shot, one left in a life-threatening condition and the other in serious condition but expected to survive. One of those women was his wife. And there was one more person in that house who managed to get out alive, and what she did to survive is one of the most heartbreaking parts of this whole story. We will get to that. So by the time officers arrived at West 79th Street at 6:01 that morning, they already knew they were walking into something serious. But even with all of those 911 calls and all of that information coming in over the radio, nothing really prepares you for what those officers found when they cleared that house. At 6:43 a.m., officers confirmed multiple deceased victims at the West 79th Street residence. 8 young ones shot to death inside a family home. And one of them had not even died there. because there was one person in that house who had refused to become a victim.
We heard over here, we need all the pastors and counselors we can get in our Cedar Grove area. If we never did nothing else today, y'all, in Cedar Grove, we got to pray and pray like we never prayed before, because this is a lot. 8 kids deceased and 2 mothers fighting for their life. That's a lot, y'all. Just pray for us over here. Pray for the police officers. Pray for the people that got to see this. Pray for the coroners, y'all. And we're going to have to come together, y'all, because this is a mental crisis and domestic really involved, y'all. That's what we got all y'all mental health people for. Come out here, y'all, and see about us today, please. Thank y'all. We love y'all. And just stand together for Cedar Grove today, y'all. If y'all do nothing else, pray for us over here in Cedar Grove, because we hurt.
So we're still in the 300 block of West 79. This has turned into a very extensive investigation. We have 4 significant crime scenes, 2 of which here in the 300 block of West 79, one on Harrison Street and then one in Bossier Parish. The initial indications this is a domestic incident. Responding officers came to the 300 block of West 79, at which time they discovered a large crime scene and a residence in this location. Deceased juveniles. These juveniles range in age from 1 to about 13 to 14 years of age. Officers then learned that the suspect in that case performed a carjacking right here near West 70th and Linwood, at which point in time, one of our SPD DWI officers observed the vehicle, attempted to conduct a traffic stop. That resulted in a chase into Bossier Parish, at which point in time, the individual exited the vehicle and officers did discharge the weapons, resulting in the death of that offender. At this point in time, that case is being investigated by the Louisiana State Police. So we don't have any more information about the shooting that we were involved in. What we know here on 70th Street is that this is a domestic incident. We believe the offender in this case did, in this case, execute some of his own children. Exact relationships. We do know that there is 2 adult females that were shot, one of which was in a romantic relationship of some kind. So we're going to determine if that is a wife or what that relationship is. Once we have the full picture of everything, individuals we should determine the exact age of the children.
She broke her leg when she landed, and she was expected to recover. That girl is alive today because she had the presence of mind to do something most adults would freeze up trying to decide. An adult woman also managed to flee from the roof around the same time, and she was the one making those early 911 calls while Elkins was still inside. Now, while all of this was unfolding at West 79th Street, Elkins was already gone. After he finished what he did in that house, he did not sit and wait for the police. He carjacked a red Kia Sportage near the intersection of West 79th and Linwood and took off. And remember, he had taken the 3 children from Harrison Street location with him earlier that morning before he even went to West 79th. So now police were dealing with a man on the run in a stolen vehicle, and there was a real chance that children were inside that car. At 6:17 a.m., traffic officers on routine patrol spotted the red Kia heading southbound on Interstate 49. The chase was on. At 6:18, officers reported they were crossing the Red River Bridge into Bossier City. Then, at 6:20, information came in that the 3 children from Harrison Street might actually be inside the fleeing vehicle, which put officers in an incredibly difficult position. You cannot just use every tactic available to stop a car when there might be kids inside it. At 6:23, officers reported they were exiting near the Swan Lake area. At 6:25, they located the injured woman from the Harrison Street shooting. And then, at 6:29, it happened.
Will you do me a small favor? Don't forget to grow up and live happily ever after. And stay as sweet as honey forever.
From A to Z, with jingle bells and holly, let's all celebrate glee. From angels to the shining star atop the tree, we'll spell out the joy of Christmas. Come sing with me. for the angels singing so sweet. B is for the bells ringing in the street. C is for the candy cans so tasty and bright. D is for the decorations sparkling in the night. E is for the elves making toys galore. F is for the frogs covering the door. G is for the gifts wrapped under the tree. H is for the holly so lovely to see. I is for the icicles hanging all around. J is for the joy in every sound. K is for the kisses under the mistletoe. L is for the lights in a dazzling show. N is for the manger where Jesus lay. N is for the Noel on a bright Christmas day.
Elkins fired on the police. The officers returned fire, and by 6:30 they had him pinned down in the 400 block of Brompton Lane. When officers checked the vehicle at 6:40, the children were not inside. The 3 kids from Harrison Street were accounted for separately. At 7:03 a.m., Shamar Elkins was pronounced dead at the scene on Brompton Lane, killed in the shootout with police less than 70 minutes after the first 911 call came in from that rooftop. The Louisiana State Police Investigation Division was contacted at 7:14 and began deploying to the Bossier City scene to investigate the officer-involved shooting, which is standard procedure anytime police shoot and kill someone, even when the circumstances are as clear as they were here. The information that investigators made available publicly frames this entire incident as domestic violence, and authorities were clear from the start that this was not a random attack. It grew directly out of the relationships in his life. And when you look at the full picture, you start to understand why this man's personal situation was already a powder keg long before that Sunday morning arrived.
That shit mama had nasty, that motherfucker.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
That shit nasty. That shit hurt. You know, got her titties all out and shit.
Fuck yeah.
Don't fall out this thing. Roll it, roll it, roll. Roll it, roll. Roll it, roll it, roll. Boom, 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 boom.
It will be nice, and then you were looking for the door. I just feel like I almost got you.
Oh, turn around. Come on. Okay, Leah. Look at Leah. Oh, nigga.
Elkins had his wife and 7 children living at West 79th Street address, but he was also in a relationship with another woman who lived separately on Harrison Street with her own 3 children. So right there, you already have a situation that is complicated in ways that most people would struggle to manage even on a good day. A man with mental health problems trying to hold all of that together. And then something happened. Something he found out, or something that came to the surface in one of those relationships that broke whatever control he thought he had over the situation. Think about the order of events that morning, because it matters. He did not start at West 79th Street, where his wife and children lived. He started at Harrison Street. He went to the other woman first, shot her, took her children, and then drove across the city to where his own family was. That sequence tells you something about what was going on in his head. The thing that triggered him had something to do with what was happening at Harrison Street, and whatever it was, it sent him on a path that ended with 8 children dead.
Layla had little exposure to academics prior to this school year. However, she has made a year's journey in 3 non-age periods. Congratulations, Layla. From their part.
Pitch that ass, I'ma hit.
Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chillin' with my homie. Chicken wing. Spin the block 2-3 times to make sure all the cancers gone. Everything wrong, reason I love myself. Yeah, bullshit gone.
Because Elkins died at the scene, there was never going to be a courtroom. There was never going to be a moment where he sat in front of a judge, where the families of those 8 children got to look him in the eye and watch him be held accountable in the legal sense. And that absence of justice through the courts is something the community of Shreveport had to sit with on top of everything else. What happened instead was something more public and in some ways more raw, which was a series of press conferences where the city's leaders stood in front of cameras and tried to make sense of something that had no clean explanation. And the city's murder count for the year jumped by more than 100% before breakfast. That number right there tells you that what happened on West 79th Street was not just a tragedy for one family, it changed the statistics for an entire city. And the statistic underneath it, that 30% of all murders in Shreveport come from domestic violence situations, is the kind of thing that should make people stop and think hard about how seriously this issue is actually being taken.
Say them jiggles make y'all, hold on. Look, I say them jiggles make y'all bow, bow, a bow, a bow, a bow. I say them jiggles make y'all bow, a bow, a bow, a bow, a bow, a bow. I say them jiggles make y'all. I'm rolling out my mind. I'm rolling out my motherfucking mind. I say them jiggles make y'all. I say I'm rolling out my mind. I'm rolling out my motherfucking mind. Say them jiggles got me moving. Them jiggles got me loose. Them jiggles got me in the club.
Trying to get the friction on. So, ladies, ladies, they gonna wanna roll my Mercedes? Then turn around, stick it out. Even white boy got the shout. Baby got.
As far as I know, I go low, you hit high, no. From me you can hide.
Because there is a tendency, and it happens everywhere in the world, not just in America, to treat domestic violence like it is a private problem. The officials who stood at those microphones after the Elkins shooting pushed back on that idea directly. He called on every leader in that parish to come together and build a proper, coordinated response to domestic violence, something that exists before the crisis hits, not after. Because by the time the 911 calls are coming in from rooftops, it is already too late for the people inside that house. None of that takes the responsibility off of Shemar. What he did belongs to him entirely. He chose to walk through that house with a gun. He chose to point it at his own children. That choice is his and nobody else's. But if you are asking whether there were moments before that Sunday morning where things could have gone differently, the answer is almost certainly yes, and that is the conversation his city was trying to force. California Governor Gavin Newsom's office also weighed in, calling it an unspeakable tragedy and pointing to gun violence, saying that repeated events like this do not happen anywhere else in the world but America, and calling it a total moral failure.
Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining into KSLA News 12 Facebook Live. We are here on the West 79th Street shooting. We had to migrate different devices to make sure we keep you all first alert on all things breaking. And right now we are at a tragic situation. We are here on West 79th in the 7800 block of Linwood Avenue, where a heavy police presence is here. What we can confirm from Shreveport Police is that 8 children have tragically died in a shooting right here on Linwood Avenue in West 79th. The youngest we can report is 18 months old. KSLA's Peyton Manuel has been here all morning to give you all the first alert with everything. She'll be popping in and out simultaneously. I'm KSLA's Julia Daltrey. I just got here to the scene and we're working to make sure you all have the most up-to-date information. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the chat. We're still working to get you all some more answers. There's a lot of questions. It's early into the investigation, you guys. So some of those questions you may have may not be answered at the moment, but we will be sure to keep you first aware and first alert as we learn more details about this shooting. Give us a few seconds. We're gonna let you all kind of see what we can see right now. Guys, please bear with us. We are using technology. So like I said, we are on Linwood Avenue. Hey you guys, this is reporter Peyton Manuel with KSLA News 12. Just popping in. Me and Julie are going to be kind of switching off of each other to kind of give you the up-to-date information that we have. I'm going to adjust this here so you guys can kind of see a little bit better what's going on. So everything that we're told is kind of happening in that gray house right over there that has like the little steps up. Unfortunately, that's where police confirmed where the majority of the victims were found. This is a home. This is a residence where this all occurred. Zoom out here so you guys can kind of get a full picture. You can see a lot of car units over there. When I was here earlier this morning, it was about 20 units here on the scene at least, and then it went up to 29. This was a man. The suspect was a man, police said. He is deceased. Police had to follow him over into Bossier, and they say that's where police shot him. Yes, as far as we know.
The political debate around guns and policy will continue to go the way those debates always go. And where you stand on that probably depends on what you already believed before you heard about Shamar Elkins. But whatever your view on policy, the human reality of this story sits underneath all of it and does not move. And the question that does not go away, the one with no clean answer, is whether the people who saw warning signs in Shamar Elkins had anywhere to turn before things reached the point they reached. Whether there was a system, a resource, a person, anything that could have stepped in before that Sunday morning arrived. What do you think Shamar's family could have done differently that would have prevented this situation? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Click on one of the cards in your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.